It's disorganized play. It's disorganized play. What are we doing today? It's disorganized play. Let's do it! Metal! I said to Megan,
Wow.
right before the stream started, what genre should our theme song be in today? And she said heavy metal.
I did, and I got a lot more than I even expected instantly.
I feel like she made that choice knowing that it was optional for her to sing and not optional
I did.
for me to sing.
I did. I think I chose very well.
Hey everyone, welcome to Disorganized Play. I'm Tom Lommel. I'm your host and dungeon master. I'm joined today by Megan Caves-Callerman, who is our new player.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Ongoing Iron Keep game. For those of you who are not familiar with the format or the purpose of our show, every Tuesday I get together and prep a D&D game, usually by myself. Every Wednesday I run a fabulous D&D game. I don't know the best way to describe it. I hope it's entertaining. That's what I'm shooting for. And Megan is joining the team on Wednesday nights. And then on Thursdays, I come back and sit down. Lately, it's been with Dom and talk about how the game went. So that's Disorganized Play. It's Tuesdays and Thursdays. And on Wednesday is the actual game, the Iron Keep Chronicles. So that is why we are all here. Thank you for joining me. And we've got a few things on our agenda today. Ooh, did I point at it right? Yeah, I did. We're going to do character creation with Megan's new character. We have no idea what that's going to be. We are going to talk a little bit about the adventure that we're going to run today. And then finally, we'll talk about flashback rewards, which were introduced last session. And I think we're probably going to introduce them as kind of a once per session buy-in, purchasable kind of item. So there, yes. Gaurav, you can be here for... Yeah, you can be here. That's fine. Megan's here for the whole show, right?
That's true. I will know all the secrets.
So, yes. Yeah, no, I'm going to tell Megan all the secrets. She's going to be my inside trader on the show.
That's why you're not here, Gaurav.
Yeah. And then she's going to murderate you. No, wait. Eric was my inside trader.
Oh.
No, wait. Amy was my inside trader.
I feel like you've just told everyone that.
Yeah, but Amy's not on. Why do you think Amy left the show? Her purpose had been... She had the chance to betray the party, and she did not. So my plan did not pan out.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
I see what I'm walking into here.
Yeah. So I think that's our agenda for today. Let's get into the thick of it. So I think before we get into too much character creation, let me catch you up a little bit on the story. Do you feel like you're like in the moment?
Yeah.
So we just completed this huge arc where essentially Amy's family and her character personally were tempted with power by a vampire named Gulthias. And Gulthias expressed his power largely. There was this tree called the Gulthias tree, and Amy had a piece of it, and her parents would get other pieces from this tree and carve toys out of it, and then it would create this curse. They'd sell the toys, and it would curse the kids who got attached to it, right? It's not pleasant.
No, it sounds like a horrible family.
Yeah, it was. Well, here's the thing. They sort of got tricked into. Hi, buddy. Hi. My dog Luigi is here, everyone. Although all you can see is maybe this piece of.
Not much. Yep.
Yeah, Luigi does need fries and/or pets. I know. Lay down, buddy. Hey. Yeah, maybe Megan will pet
Not
you.
working. Hi.
So, they were sort of tricked into, or sort of seduced into. They got some of this wood and they started carving toys from it, and it became a hot seller. Like all the toys that they made had this kind of magical charm to them. They're like, oh, this is really fun. Kids really loved it. So they sort of built their business essentially kind of like on a. Like as if they were a bakery lacing their products with cocaine, right? Like, oh, wow, these buns are really good. They're really selling. Hey, we should make more of them. So it wasn't completely like the family was evil, right? It was more of the fact that they started going down a slippery slope and then they got sucked into this whole plot. At any rate, at the culmination of the first, kind of what we call the first season here of Iron Keep, Amy had a showdown with Gulthias. Not like pow 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 showdown, but more of a like ultimate moment of choosing. Like, do you want to side with the vampire and gain all of this power that he's promised, or are you going to imprison him again, kind of like lock him away? She had this little toy wagon that was sort of her magical like focus kind of thing, right? And so she decided to imprison him in the mummer's cart, and now she's gone. Her character has decided to go back to Oakhurst, to the village where they're from.
Okay.
So that's where the first arc of the whole thing is. Now, we are planning to play, and I forgot that I had a tweet all queued up.
Oh, you have to tweet it.
Did I tweet it? There, tweet. Dang. There we go. All right. So we're currently going to play the plan here is to play a short interlude, and then we'll play a longer adventure after we play this kind of short interlude. They've been on sort of this interlude in Waterdeep, right? So last week we did kind of a caper heist type of adventure where Havana and Gaurav got hired to go to the Cartographers Guild and steal this, or copy this map, right? Not steal it, but copy it. Although technically, like, it's kind of the same.
It's stealing, yeah.
So they that was that. And I'm gonna turn off my. Where's I just want my chat. I don't need anything else. There we go. All right. My keyboard eats up most of the screen here. So that was the one-off that they did, and because Eric was out last week, Eric's character was off on. He was. The other thing I should tell you. There's two things I should tell you. One is that the party played through White Plume Mountain and got a bunch of artifacts out of it because that adventure is just loaded with artifacts. So Gaurav has a magic sword. Whoa. That talks.
Whoa.
And canonically sounds like, am I showing too much? Do you need... I'm sorry. Is there too much sexiness for you guys? Apparently we're doing a mature stream.
Apparently.
According to Twitch's settings.
What?
So,
only the video. The audio is just...
Yeah, the audio is not mature. Usually it's the other way around because we drop the F-bomb like 3 times a game.
That's weird. I would like to know why.
I think it's Luigi.
Oh, Luigi. What are you doing?
So Gaurav has a sword that talks that also thirsts for souls.
Of course.
And Havana has a magical trident called Wave, which also talks and is apparently the artifact of some long forgotten water goddess.
Okay.
Right? And so it has some inclination to kind of spread the gospel of this water goddess. Or Havana's got a quest involving that. Like right now, it's just this minor quest of go throw this pearl in the harbor. So that's going on. What was the other thing that there were 2 things that I was going to tell you. Those are the important ones.
Okay.
Eric's character is a doppelganger.
A doppelganger?
That was revealed, yes, in the finale showdown when in Amy's last session, when everything built up to this climax. There were all of these secrets because Amy goes nuts whenever somebody at the table knows something that she doesn't. So we built all these things into the tip jar that's like, we're going to reveal some things that Amy doesn't know. And the last one was like, there's going to be a campaign-altering secret that gets revealed that nobody knows about except for me and the person who knows. And we got to it, and it was revealed that Eric's character has been a doppelganger the entire game.
Wow. All right. That seems important.
So those are all things that you as the player should know, whether your character is unlikely to know those things, right?
Sure.
But Eric's character went off he's a paladin, he went off to the Temple of Torm to pause and reflect on how this affects his life, his mission as a paladin, his relationship with his friends, etc. We'll kind of see how that plays out tomorrow night, but that's one of the in-game reasons why he was missing from last week's caper heist adventure kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's That's what's going on. Yeah. There was this amazing moment where the vampire turns to the paladin and is basically like, "Don't you have something you want to tell everyone?" And Eric was like, "Oh shit," because I had told him, "Oh, this is going to come up in a few weeks. It's not a big deal. We don't have to build a big backstory around it. We both know that this has been something that we want to introduce at some point, but it's not going to come up for a while." And then, on a whim, I was like, "We'll put this in. We'll chum the waters and see if it hits." Well, it hit, and he didn't know, so it was fun. It was a terrific moment. Yeah, to watch his face, and then Havana sitting next to him because she had no idea either, and Havana was just like,
Wow.
Yeah, so it was amazing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. All right. So I am not very stingy about what kind of race you want to play, what kind of character you want to play. Obviously, I emailed you back and forth a little bit that we've got a paladin, we've got a rogue, we've got a ranger. Mm-hmm. So that's the existing party composition. Mm-hmm. Amy was sort of the utility spellcaster, but whatever you want to play, the nice thing about 5th edition D&D is that it does not super require the complete, canonical 4 quadrants of spellcaster, fighter, cleric, thief, right? And Eric's paladin character really doesn't necessarily fulfill cleric very well. He can do some laying on of hands, but that's
okay.
And he can cast Zone of Truth, but that's as far along. He doesn't have a lot of clerical abilities at this point.
Okay.
So he's not even that full archetype. And then also between, let's just turn this to quiet time. Oh, it's quiet time now. So between 5th edition being a little more everybody kind of does their own thing and not needing that fully integrated team, and then also the way that we kind of tweak the game with tips and inspiration and all that sort of stuff, we'll make whatever you want to play work.
Okay.
So if it's your opportunity to play the character that you want to play, if you want to play something weird, obviously I have given them a lot of leeway. Also, you're going to be coming in at 5th level. I hate oh, this person left, now you have to start a 1st level character, or your character died, now you have to start a 1st level character.
Oh yeah, that's
the worst.
Yeah,
I have been in games where that's happened, and I'm like, really? No.
It doesn't seem like fun for anybody.
No, your character is suboptimal, so you're not contributing to the party, right. And then your character is super fragile, so everybody else is like, I guess just they push you to the back.
Right, and you can never catch up unless everyone else is gone or something.
Yeah. So there's that. Okay. Yeah, I think chat is pondering Grayson's identity. I think we're going to get to some more facts about that, but I don't want to drop them here in the prep stream. Those are really Eric's to divulge in terms of how he sees his character, how long it's been a doppelganger and how it fits into that thing. All right, just to address that point in chat briefly. So, that being said, also, we don't have to stick to the classes in the PHB. If there's something from Unearthed Arcana or something like that you were interested in, or a subclass from one of those supplements, that's fine too. I didn't print that out.
Okay.
So I don't have that immediately at my disposal. But if you're not feeling, playing a warlock or whatever, that's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the only other thing I have to say by way of... Now I'm going to let you talk about what you're thinking about playing first.
Okay. So my 3 thoughts, because I know, like you said, you're kind of lacking the magic user, but also, like you said, since it's 5e, it's not as big of a deal. I've only played 5e once, and I was a cleric. I was a dragonborn cleric who wore wigs. She loved her wigs. Anyway. But
I'm trying to think of this reptilian creature with a wig on.
So, just a side story. How this happened. Jordan was running this game, and I was like...
Wait. What do they say in Canada? Quelle surprise.
Right, yeah, I know. And I wanted to make my character on Hero Forge, and I got on there. I was like, "Here's a Dragonborn," and oh, look, this hair is nice. And I was like, "Look at this cool character I made." And Jordan was like, "They don't have hair like that." And I was like, "She does." And he said, "The only way that she can have hair like that is if she wears wigs." And so
Is it
became
like
a whole
mohawk
thing.
hair?
No, it's like perfect, like, kind of below her shoulder, just nice hair. So that's that ridiculous story. Anyway, back to the topic.
I'm having a flashback to a bad Muppet movie, Muppet Show episode. I don't know which one. Maybe it was Fraggle Rock. But what was the creepy show about the dinosaurs who were like living just before the comet shows up? Like the last episode was like, "What's that light in the sky?" And you're like, "Grr."
Oh, yeah, I don't know the name, but I know what you're talking about. The one that they're like puppets? That one? Yeah. It was just dinosaurs, wasn't it? I
Maybe
think that's
so.
what it was. Anyway. So, I've only played a cleric in 5e before, but and she was like a battle cleric. But I'm kind of interested in playing a monk.
Okay.
Like the elemental focused monk.
Okay.
Which I know isn't a ton of magic, but it's a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And my idea, for whatever reason, this got stuck in my head and I got excited about it. But I was sort of pulling from Aang from Last Airbender.
Okay.
So that sort of character, except he's sort of a pacifist in that he's like, he doesn't want to fight. But I was thinking of her as more maybe a monk of either a death god or something like that. And she would just be kind of almost naive, but just excited, like, I love killing wrongdoers type thing. And loves death, fascinated by it, but is also like really friendly, just kind of, I don't know, just the juxtaposition of those two things. That's kind of what I've gotten stuck on.
Okay.
So I don't have... I would also be willing to play a druid, which I played a druid in Pathfinder one time, and I enjoyed that, but didn't get to play her for very long. And then I would also be interested in warlock, but I don't have strong concepts for either of those yet.
Okay. All right. Well, so with that in mind, I didn't want to taint the idea pool too much. Mm-hmm. But we have an opportunity. I'm thinking of, for me, my challenge is, how do I integrate you into the party in a way that feels kind of organic and kind of, since obviously all of the players at the table, there's a high level of player trust there, but like let's match the player trust with the character trust so that your characters have a reason to. The other characters have a reason to trust your character rather than the classic, like gamers move. You seem trustworthy. Join us. Exactly. Where we go. So, I mean, that's all fine and expedient, but I'd like to find a way to make that happen.
Okay.
Now, this is a concept I'm going to throw out there. You can take it or leave it.
Okay.
Modify it, or just like walk away and go, I don't think that's interesting. But Havana's character Avril has this quest where essentially she was sort of possessed by this avatar of the water goddess, of the forgotten water goddess, and this entity's name was Ava, right? And Ava like possessed her character and like made her kind of didn't make her do a lot of stuff, but made her like go into this hibernation for a minute, and then had this like basically this discussion with Avril of like, would you like to serve the water goddess? You have to do that if you want to take on this trident magic item, this artifact. If you want to own this artifact, you need to pledge your allegiance to this Barshala. It's the name fluctuates, like literally fluctuates.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought, for one, I forgot. Shasharla. But number two, I thought in hindsight, it's really interesting if the goddess's name, like water, was fluid and it kept changing, but it was variations on a theme the entire time, so you could recognize it, but you kept saying different things. That's never been explained in game until now.
Oh, now you know. That's one of those mistakes turning into gold things, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's called the foundation of great improv.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's where she got this quest of like, tell you what, if you accept this mission, then what I will do is I will separate myself from you, and I won't have to possess your body anymore, because Basharla, Nasharla, Shasharla is this either chaotic neutral or chaotic good water goddess. She's all about individual freedom, and I think she's more on the chaotic good side of things. but so as a goddess, she feels like I can't force you to do this thing. That's against my ethos. But if you accept this artifact, if you choose to accept this, then the responsibility that comes with it is you have to take this pearl and throw it into Waterdeep Harbor, and that will form the avatar, the actual physical body of Ava. And then she will go off and do, like, essentially prepare the way for Nasharla to come back to the plane, to come back to the prime material plane. So she will do the work of, like, preaching to unbelievers and spreading the word of Nasharla and maybe some other kind of stuff too. Now, that's what's been set up. That doesn't mean that's exactly how it has to play out. But there's an opportunity where Avril throws the pearl into Waterdeep Harbor, and your character comes out as this whatever semi-divine infused being or whatever it is. So, like in the Sword Quest Adventurers Guide, one of the things that you can play is you can play an angel.
Really?
Yeah. There's a bunch of different stuff. But you can play an elemental infused creature, right? You could play like a water infused creature, etc., something like that. So, regardless of what you end up choosing, that's an opportunity for your character. And it also is an organic, integrated way to like work with the party. So that's one option.
Okay.
Right. The only other thing that I'm thinking about in my mind in terms of where the campaign is at, and we're sort of starting this new season, if you will. There's been this backstory of this renowned gnome tinkerer named Warwent, and he's created all of these magical wind-up trinkets and gewgaws and toys and things like that, right? I'm not sure how we would make this, like, the introduction part happen, but there's also an opportunity for your character to be a construct maybe created by this guy. And that would provide a huge motivation for, like, I want to know what my origin is, where I came from, who my creator was. This guy went missing, hundreds of years ago, and nobody knows really where he was from or where he went off to. And he's this renowned creator, and everybody who makes like stuff in the style of him it's all knockoffs, and they've never been able to replicate his craftsmanship and his level of sophistication. So those are two ideas. Now, those are pretty, like, wildly out there type of concepts. So if you are not interested in being some sort of weird avatar water goddess servitor, or, playing the kind of forlorn, you don't have to play it as a robot by any means, but that's sort of like, that's the concept, is the creation seeks its creator.
Honestly, both of those sound fucking cool. So, yeah, they do.
I'm no mere hobbyist dungeon master, I'll have you know.
I see that. I mean, we are on Disorganized Play, so...
Crittenden says, I am a dungeon master!
Yeah, I saw that.
Both of those sound super interesting to me. I mean, it seems like the water goddess person would be easier to put into the game than the construct.
True. Keep in mind, that's my problem, not yours.
Totally.
So.
But I personally really enjoy kind of creating those relationships with characters anyway, and really feeding the story in that way. So I'm totally on board with doing something that really drives that home, especially with what's already going on. So
I mean, to be fair, they both drive the story, right?
Sure.
I wouldn't have brought up the construct thing if that wasn't going to be an element that we're going to pick up and then expand upon.
So what would either one of those look like as far as like class and all of that? What would that look like?
Well, so from my point of view, they could be any class.
Okay.
They could really, there could be any race, but I think we would probably maybe, like, if you decided to be a half orc or whatever like that, we would maybe reskin the stats, or we could just play. There's tons of different ways to justify any of this stuff. Obviously, we're dealing with a goddess, so that's easy. And then if we're dealing with a construct type of thing, who knows? Maybe he made this big battle tank guy who looks like and it's also a matter of How much of a construct do you look like?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. But whatever.
What kind of sounds almost like you could do like druid or cleric with the water one, and then the construct could be barbarian. I mean, like, I guess like you said, it could be anything. We
Yeah,
could make
no,
it anything.
don't feel like either of those like lend themselves or constrain themselves from or to a particular class, right? I have no problem making having a construct character that's a wizard or a sorcerer. I have likewise no problem having this divine being who's just a killing machine or whatever, right? So and along those lines, like the whole ethos and domain and portfolio of Nasharla, Basharla, Shasharla, whatever it is, has not been specifically defined, right? So we have an opportunity to make that goddess whatever we want it to be. So if she is like a goddess of vengeance or something like that is not so much chaotic good as chaotic neutral or whatever, that's fine. Like her portfolio has not been specified. It's not going to throw the players for a loop if they find out. The only thing that's really been defined is that she believes in individual freedom, right? So she doesn't believe in pressing others into enforcing her will on others. That's the only aspect of her canon that the players would, if you change that, the players would go, wait a minute, you said this. So why don't we do this? Why don't we roll some dice and get your stats together, or pick the standard array, which either way, whichever you like, and maybe that will lead us somewhere. So do you have a preference?
I mean, I kind of feel like I'm leaning towards standard array, as I have rolled some horrible numbers in the past.
Boy, Gaurav is really voting for dice.
Oh, well, of course he is. He would. He loves to destroy things, so...
All right. Well, how does this feel? We have gotten some tips in our tip jar today. I will offer you this.
Okay.
You can. I always do 46 and drop to the lowest. Right.
Okay.
That's the standard way that I do it. You can arrange the stats in any order that you want. I will allow you to re-roll your lowest stat.
Okay.
Does that feel safer?
Sure. You guys keep yelling about rolling, so you're kind of, you're not giving me many options here.
Christian Licky says $10 if you roll.
$10? Is that also $10 from you, Gaurav? Because you said $10 to roll, so...
That sounds like $20 to me.
It does sound like $20. I mean, you guys are saying it, so...
I don't think we have anything set up for disorganized play donations, but yeah, we're happy to do it.
Yeah, totally. Whatever, come on.
That goes straight to the donation page.
Great. All right.
Oh.
10 whatever.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So 46.
Let me... Oh, I'm really umming badly today. Let me get... Will it show up in our overhead cam if we put the dice tray down?
If I turn on the overhead.
It says it's red. It says it's on. Am I
Let
wrong?
me see if I have...
Red is standby.
Yeah.
Standby red.
See these
But it's not close enough to see what the actual numbers are.
Yeah, that's fine. Is it fine?
There we go.
Are you picking out whichever?
Yeah, I'm picking out the dice that you can see the best. Probably. Hopefully.
All right. I'll put this right next to the microphone so at least they can hear what the dice rolls are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what am I doing? We have the nice saving throw one.
Oh, we do. Mm-hmm.
I gotta get the dog all worked up if I step over here. Yeah.
Louis, you look like you've given up. Just given up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know which way is the...
That's good.
Good.
You can see it?
Good. All right. I shall do my duty here.
You're right, Bastion. Even if they're not great. I've also...
Christian.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
There it is. I've definitely rolled some really awesome characters too, so there is that potential. There it is. Okay.
Gaurav has a cheer total of 10.
Gaurav did it. All right.
Hey, that's not bad.
No,
All right,
that's not
13. Right.
Okay. 13. Okay, this will be good. Ready? Actually, I don't know.
Is this a 6?
We're gonna find out. I think it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god.
That's a 17.
That's pretty fucking good. You disappointed?
No.
That's 17.
Watch at the end of all of this, she's like, "I'll re-roll the 13."
This one will be good too. Oh, not well.
11.
It's not bad.
11.
11's not bad,
Acceptable.
right? Still above average, right? 10's average.
Yeah. So the rules for this, which are the same rules that we used to create the other characters, is you have to net out to at least a +1 bonus, like across all of your stats. So if you rolled really terrible for the next 3, you'd get to wipe them all out and re-roll. Right?
Wow. Okay.
And also you have to have at least one stat that's higher than a 13, which you've already got. So.
Right. Okay.
But it's unlikely that your character is gonna crap out.
Right. Oh my god.
Not with a 15.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is all before racial modifiers or what you decide to do with your 4th level feat.
Yes, it is. Okay.
13.
13. That's not bad.
One left.
Okay, come on. Let's go for, like, how high can I get? 30 on this?
There you jinxed yourself. That's a 12.
12. All right. Okay.
All right. Do you want to re-roll the 11?
Why not? I feel like I should. I mean,
I mean, the question is, are you forced to take the second result?
yeah, that's the question.
I feel like that, to be fair, you would have to take the second result. But
Okay, well-
11 is,
I mean,
you've got pretty good stats.
I do.
Otherwise, you could very easily have like a 20 and something if you chose your everything properly.
True.
But it's up to you.
11 is no negatives.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Grub, always gamble.
You just want.
Grub, I love
everything
it
to
when
go
it's
down.
not your character.
Oh yeah. That's exactly. If it was Garab, you'd be like, nope, I'm good. I took the standard array.
You'd be 20 minutes of Gaurav debating whether or not he should do that or not.
Yeah, you're ahead of the standard array for sure.
Yeah, I am. I don't know. Maybe I should keep it because 11 definitely isn't bad. I mean, for the lowest roll, I'm scared of rolling like all ones. I got a 4. I'll keep the 11.
Oh, now you have to re-roll because I want to see what you got.
Oh no. Okay.
That's the punishment.
This will be really good. It is pretty good.
It would have been better, yeah. You
Yeah,
would have gotten a 15.
I would have.
All right.
Well,
all right.
I
Fair
blame
enough.
Garav.
Okay.
It's Garav's fault. Fuck you, Garav.
All right. So now, keeping in mind that you still have to pick a race, right? So that's going to give you probably a +2 to something.
Okay.
And keeping in mind, if you choose not to choose a feat,
I need feed.
like you could get a +2 to something,
Okay.
right? You could also choose a feat that would give you like a +1 to some stat, and then give you some other ability, etc. But you could very easily, like I said, you could have, if you worked at it, you could have a 20 in your prime stat, whatever you decide that is.
Okay.
But you don't have to. You've got a really good, you got a really good array going here right now. So you could pretty easily also have an 18 in something,
Right.
and then a 16 in something else.
Okay.
Those are all you've got nice options to work with here.
Yeah. Okay.
And feats generally are pretty good, but it depends upon like if you're. I think if you're a spellcaster, it's worth it to juice your intelligence like at that first tier to get the bonuses going. I think if you are a dex-based character, it's generally worth it to boost your dex because that's +1 to your AC, it's +1 to your attack roll, it's +1 to your initiative. Like,
Yeah.
dexterity is the triple combo, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, a couple things to keep in mind.
Okay.
Number one, you don't have to build an optimal character.
Right.
Which that is not
Almost more fun not
yeah,
to.
Yeah, that's not necessary. And number two, it's your character, so build it however you want.
Okay.
So, what does this inspire? Like, it's very obvious you're competent at two things for sure. Whatever that might be. You're very good at one thing and well above average with the second thing. So, do you want to kind of start with your race? Do you want to start with your class?
Probably rather start with class.
Okay.
So I mean, I feel like I could go any of the ways I was talking about really with this.
Is there one of the concepts that appeals to you, or do you want to do your own thing?
No, I like one of your concepts.
Okay.
I have been trying to figure out. They both spark a lot for me. I'm kind of feeling like the construct gives me more ability to kind of do a different type of character than the other one makes me think of other characters I've played before, I suppose.
Okay.
The construct also, I guess either one of them could, but the construct feels broader. Like I could do more things with, I suppose.
Okay. That's totally up to you. Like I just sort of came up with this idea literally like this morning or whatever, and I don't have a firm framework for what does it look like, who, how does it manifest, how does it talk, does it have a gender or not have a gender, how long has it been active, like all of those questions are sort of open-minded.
But see, I keep going back and forth because I like the other one too. You were saying the water goddess one being, you said you were talking about angelic, like an angelic race. That's a race, right?
Yeah, so in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, I mean, also, I'm not afraid to shamelessly steal and adapt anything to be something else, right? So we could do a thing where you're a construct that you have, you have, divine powers essentially, right? So where is this? I should have looked it up.
Tiefling,
Classes.
General Fancy Pants.
Elves. Dwarves. I swear to God, is it not in this book, you guys? Have I been? Wrong book. Volo's Guide. You're right.
Wrong
Do
book.
we have Volo's Guide here?
I don't have a Volo's guide.
No.
I left it at home. You're right. It is in Volo's Guide. I'm bad.
Is there a way it looks
Be a bugbear. I have my computer.
What are you looking for?
It should be in D&D. Well, it depends on whether you bought Volo's Guide in D&D Beyond or not. I might have.
Ask Grav.
Grav,
He actually
do some work.
No, you know what I made? I made a character and I took a photo of the rule books that I'd have it on my phone.
What are you looking for?
I'm specifically looking for the Protector Azamar.
There we go. Asmar. Give us more details.
There's a version in the DMG.
Oh,
That's true. There is a version of the DMG.
yeah, he did not do Volo's guide, so.
Well.
Well,
But I can get it.
I've got a copy at home too. I thought I had brought it with me, and
Martial traits +2 charisma, dark vision, celestial, and then but there's 4 variants, I guess. So
yeah. So Azimar 286, 287. I can't believe I forgot Volo's Guide. Which of my supplements is this in, right? So this is an example race, right? So you would have a wisdom increase, a charisma increase. You have some interesting resistances, necrotic and radiant damage. You have dark vision. You can cast light. You can cast lesser restoration. You can cast daylight. And then sometimes, depending upon which one it is, you might not have these spells. Instead, you can grow wings and fly for a minute. Sometimes you can do stuff like add ability to add your, I think, charisma score when you hit with an attack once per round. You can add that as bonus radiant damage, that sort of stuff. So we can figure that out. But that gives you an idea of what that.
I feel like that would be a cool druid character. Yeah,
Okay.
which is, I just feel like that lends itself to it.
Sure.
Water focused. I mean, you can have. I mean, I know druid is, but there. When I was looking at it, you could pick druid from and like what location they're from. So whether it's like a coastal region. Okay. Yeah. That. I mean, actually, going back from construct now, that actually sounds interesting. Let's just go in circles. You guys ready? Circles.
be a circle.
I'll be a circle.
Estelle Castillo managed to look it up and take a photo for me. So,
Wow!
yes. Yeah, your charisma score increases by 2 is the main thing. And then depending upon the subclass, you...
It's because they're always beautiful. No ugly angels
you get
here.
you get a plus to something else, right? So like a Protector Azamar gets a bonus to Wisdom.
Okay.
And a Fallen Azamar gets something else.
Fallen.
Yeah. So there's like 3 different types, right? There's a Scourge, there's a Protector, and there's a Fallen Azamar.
Okay. What?
So just to step back and clarify, you're thinking of going with the divine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm headed
Aspect
now.
of Nasharla Basharla. I think either druid or monk, like it's up to you. Whatever.
Oh man, yeah, I guess I could do monk that way too, but no, I mean I don't know. This feels more druidy. To
Okay.
me.
All right. Very good. So should we go with one of these Azamar types?
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds cool.
Okay. Let me.
Yeah, what's the difference between? I mean, protector seems. The other two kind of seem like they aren't.
Yeah, so Protector charged by the powers of good to guard the weak or to strike at evil wherever it arises. Scourge Azamar tends to be more of a fighter type, so they are imbued with divine energy that blazes to destroy evil, but it's a little bit chaotic, right? So that's fine too. And then a Fallen Azamar is basically like a divine creature that was touched by evil and kind of has a dark bent to it, though. So
How does the scourge? How does that affect? Would that affect like the powers I have access to or anything like? Not really, because this is the race, right?
right, yeah, this is the race. Yeah, it doesn't affect what you would be able to do as a druid. None
Okay.
of this stuff does.
That one sounds interesting to me. The scourge. How do you say it? How do you
Okay.
say it?
Okay. You can do. So the only disadvantage to the Scourge avatar or Azamar is that you develop this like you can develop this aura around you. Like maybe this is appropriate, but you like create this like 10-foot field of energy around you. If I'm recalling this correctly, and whoever is in it takes damage.
Oh my
when
God.
they're in it, right?
All the time?
It's only for like a minute, right?
Oh, okay.
It's only for a minute. So when you activate this thing, like this, like blazing field of divine fire or whatever it is, maybe it's waves of water, wash around you, and whether they're aligned with you, whether they're allied with you or not, it affects all of the creatures within either 5 or 10 feet. I can't remember.
But I have control over it. Like, it's not like just I'm sleeping and it happens. I'm like, oh shit, don't sleep near me.
Well,
Okay, I think I'm giving Tom bad ideas.
I think you're giving Tom good ideas.
Bad ideas.
10 feet. Yes, it's a 10-foot radius. So.
But
all
yeah,
right.
I kind of like that.
All right. Yeah, if somebody can shoot me a photo of the actual Scourge Azamar entry, that piece of it is cut off for me. But we've got enough here to make a character, right?
Cool.
So let's knock out our racial abilities first of all, right? So your Scourge Azamar, your Constitution score increases by 1.
Okay.
Yes. Radiant consumption. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your action to unleash the divine energy within yourself, causing searing light to radiate from you, pour out of your eyes and mouth, and threaten to char you.
Yeah. Oh, me?
Oh! Well, it doesn't hurt. I can't remember. It might hurt you, too. Your
Oh.
transformation lasts for 1 minute or until you end it as a bonus action. During it, you shed bright light in a 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet. At the end of each of your turns, you and each creature within 10 feet of you take radiant damage equal to half your level.
Oh my god. That's,
So that's not...
No, that's not bad.
It's only 2 or 3 points, right?
But that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. In addition, once on each of your turns, you can deal extra radiant damage to one target. When you deal damage to it with an attack or a spell, the extra radiant damage equals your level. And then it recharges on a long rest.
Okay.
Right? So you would be surrounded by this field of divine washing waves that would harm you and everyone around, everyone within 10 feet of you. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't specify that the target has to be within 10 feet. So if you cast a spell, you could damage. If you cast a damaging spell, it would add an additional, +5 damage or whatever your level is. So you get a little extra juice out of it as well. So,
Okay.
So all right. I like this idea. I think it's fun.
I do too.
Yeah.
And you're resistant to radiant damage, chat points out, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So then it
wouldn't be so
wouldn't
bad.
be no, it would be a point at this point. Not a big deal. All right. So let's run down your traits. So your
Okay.
charisma score would be +2. So let's
Okay.
let's make a note of that. You age as a human does. That's fine. Your size is as a human does. That's fine. Your speed is 30 feet.
Okay.
You have dark vision 60 feet. You resist necrotic and radiant damage. Thank you to everyone who's helping me out here.
I can't mold.
Healing hands. As an action, you can touch a creature and cause it to regain a number of hit points equal to your level.
Whoa.
So that's helpful.
That is helpful. So once per win?
It's once per long rest. So
Long rest. Okay.
So yeah, when you use it, you can't regain it until you finish a long rest.
Okay.
You know the light cantrip.
Okay.
You speak, read, and write Common and Celestial.
Whoa. Common and celestial.
And then you are a Scourge Azamar. That's your sub-race. So your con score goes up by 1. And you have the Radiant Consumption ability that we talked about.
That's fun.
All right. Boy, there's some subclasses of the Druid class that are in Unearthed Arcana that I
Oh.
wish I had.
Can I get it on the interwebs?
Yes, I am certain. Yes, I am certain of that. Oh boy. Alright, we're kicking it out here. Cleric, Druid. So your primary spellcasting trait is Wisdom.
Okay.
So your charisma bonus doesn't do a ton for you
Okay.
in terms of your racial choice, but that's fine. And then it's up to you. Constitution maybe would be your second best thing to choose if you want to make sure that you.
Hello.
Well, okay, Luigi, are we comfortable? Very good. Yes. All right. So, wisdom is your primary casting stat. So,
Okay, so I'd probably want that 17 in there. Probably.
yeah,
I mean,
I would say unless you want to somehow,
suck.
unless you want to, it really depends upon how you build your druid, right? Like, so at least in Adventurers League, the classic druid build is not to really build around the spells that you have available, but to build into a shapeshifter and just become a bear all the time and beat the walloping crap out of stuff. I don't know how much that that meshes with your particular character concept.
I feel like I'd rather do the spells. The last time I played a druid, I focused on the shape shifting, and I feel like that's cool. But for this character, it seems like it'd be more interesting to go the other way.
Yeah, so you would be looking at right now at Circle of the Land, right? I'm trying to think of the other druid circles that would be in Unearthed Arcana.
Is that where where do I need to go?
Just do a search for 5e Unearthed Arcana.
Okay. Nope.
And
Come on, what are you even doing? I don't need to go there.
and then specify druid. Put druid in the search just to kind of narrow it down.
What do you, I have it on Beyond if you.
Do you?
Mm.
Where's the PDF here?
We're just looking for the alternative. There's a couple alternative druid circles because right now in the book there's Circle of the Moon and Circle of the Land, right? So circle.
That's all I have in Beyond too.
Oh, really?
Oh, circle of the land and circle of what?
The moon.
The moon. I feel like I was reading about that. Let's see if this is a PDF.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So there's the Circle of Dreams.
Oh,
That's
BSB here just posted it.
oh
Oh,
thanks,
perfect.
BSB Care.
Circle of the Shepherd, Circle of Twilight.
Yeah. Twilight. Oh, is that it?
yeah.
I think that's it.
So I don't know that Shepherd or Twilight don't necessarily feel very thematically. I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me. But in terms of when I think of this avatar of Nasharla being connected to her, I could potentially see an interpretation that would be Circle of Dreams, because it's possible that Nasharla is a Fey god, right? So that's an option. But I could definitely see Circle of the Land with Coast as being the one of the focuses, or potentially Swamp. You know, it depends upon how you would want to manifest, but those would be the two that would occur to me.
So Circle of the Land is... That one's not in here.
Mystics and sages who safeguard ancient knowledge and rights through a vast oral tradition. So you get essentially extra spells that don't count against the spells that you have to prepare each day.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked very closely at what the Circle of Dreams
it
does for you for abilities.
I assume these are all listed. It's got Balm of the Summer Court. Become imbued with the blessings of the Summer Court. You are a font of energy that lends relief to weary feet and respite from injuries. It seems to be very healing focused, that one, from everything I see here.
Yeah.
And Circle of the Shepherd seems to be beasts. And Twilight seems to be dealing with getting rid of undead.
Okay.
Which, none of those... This does sound more...
So let's just assume we're going to pick something from Circle of the Land.
Okay.
Let's... at this point, what I would say is let's get your stats nailed down and maybe pick a feat. Mm-hmm. And then we'll kind of we can do the rest of this stuff offline.
Okay.
Right? So we have your race, we have your class, we have your subclass. In terms of... So if you do Coast or Swamp, you're going to get a kind of a different set of abilities, right? Mm-hmm. This stuff doesn't apply because it starts at 6th level. But let's take a look at our druid or at our feats and see if there's something that speaks to you.
Okay.
In terms of, do you have an idea how you want to arrange your abilities?
That's what I was just thinking. So we've got Con, Charisma, Intelligence, Strength, Dex, right. So 17 in Wisdom. And you were saying Con might be good. Let's see, I get a +1 to Con and a +1 to Charisma already.
You get +2 to Charisma.
+2, right. +2 and +1 to Con. And I mean, Con will come in. How much is it? I mean, Strength's not going to come into play for me a whole lot.
So yeah, not necessarily. All right, let me just review, especially because you've only dabbled in 5e, a couple of skills that come up consistently at our table are Perception. Well, you've got Strong Wisdom already, so that's going to help with that. Intelligence Investigation is something that I call for when they're searching for things. They're trying to figure something out. I'll often call for an intelligence check. And then when they encounter obstacles, either an athletics check or an acrobatics check, just depending kind of on what the obstacle is, would come into play. Athletics is strength-based, and acrobatics is obviously dex-based, right? So those are four key things. Don't feel like you are necessarily... You have to cover all the bases on those things, or that it's mandatory, or you're going to be at a huge disadvantage, because trouble is what makes the game interesting.
Right.
But those 4 skills at my table commonly come up.
Okay.
For what it's worth.
I think I'm going to put a 12 in. I'm trying to decide if I kind of like to have a. I mean, I don't have to do it here, but I like to have a flaw. I think it's more interesting. I kind of feel like Strength could be a good one for that. So maybe I'll do... I mean, a 12 Strength isn't horrible, though. None of these are horrible.
Yeah, you're not gonna have a real flaw,
I'm
right?
not.
Because the minimum is gonna be you have your 11. So
Right,
that's
I
a
have the 11.
0.
I could do that. I think I'll put... Actually, I'm going to put the 11 in Con.
Okay.
Because that actually makes it a 12, because I have the +1.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'll put a 12 in Strength. So that's my 11, my 12. I think I'm gonna.
Now, if you put your 15 in charisma, you'd have a 17 charisma as well.
That's
right?
true. And what's that? I mean, for charisma, that does just in interactions.
Yeah, I mean, typically persuasion, deception type of checks.
Does kind of make sense for this character.
Those are like I don't want to bait you into that too, because like that is Avril's forte, right?
Right.
Is lying to people. She's trained in it and she's got expertise in it, so she literally has a +10 on that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't mean that your character doesn't have a strong charisma, but
I think I'll put
even if you put either of your 13s in there, it still turns it into 15, right?
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a 13 in there, and then I'll make. I think I'll make intelligence the other 13, and my dex
15. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. All right. So now, if we look at this, you've got a 12 in con. You've got a 15 in charisma. Your wisdom is 17. Your dex is 15. You have an opportunity, if you just take an ability score increase, to get +1 to 2 different stats. So you could change both your dex and your wiz to an 18 and a 16, right? That would give you some juice there. Let's take a look at our feats before we go down that road, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So things that I'm going to skip over some stuff that doesn't seem to apply to your character, right?
Okay.
Alert would give you a bonus to initiative attacks, and it's very circumstantial, right? You can't be surprised while you're conscious. It's very much a passive ability, in my opinion, kind of like a it's not an always on, always applicable type of thing. Mm-hmm. Athlete doesn't really apply to you. Actor doesn't. We could work it in there, but it's basically a charisma boost, and it allows you to mimic the speech of other characters. Charger, crossbow expert, defensive duelist, dual wielder are all more for your fighty types, right? Dungeon delver is sort of aligned along kind of a roguish thing for detecting traps and resisting traps. That's the main thing.
Okay.
Durable would allow you to increase your con score, and then also when you heal during a short or a long rest, you get a bonus to that.
Okay.
Essentially, right? Mm-hmm. Elemental adept. So this is something you might consider.
Yeah.
You can pick a damage type: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Spells that you cast using that type ignore resistance to damage of the chosen type. So if you picked fire and you cast fire spells, seems a little out of character, but
she loves fire.
Work with me. Any creature that has fire resistance is still affected. It goes through their resistance, right?
Okay.
So it doesn't work against your spells.
Okay.
Also, when you roll damage for that type, you can treat any 1 as a 2.
Wow.
So that's something. That's one of the elemental feats you can consider. Grappler, Great Weapon Master don't really count. Healer, it's useful at low levels, but once you get to 5th level, it just doesn't come into play as well.
Okay.
The Armor Master things, no, not interested. Inspiring Leader might work. The main thing about Inspiring Leader is you spend 10 minutes giving a rousing speech, and then everybody in your party gets temporary hit points equal to your level plus your charisma modifier. So they would get, if you're level 5, they get 7 temporary hit points. That's fine.
Yeah.
Keen Mind allows you to do some tracking and bumps your intelligence. Lightly Armored doesn't really apply. Linguist, I don't know. You bump your intelligence, you learn some languages. Lucky is an interesting thing in that you can spend your luck points and re-roll a bad roll.
Interesting.
So that's something to consider. Gaurav has that feat, but that doesn't mean that you can't take it.
I'm going to steal your feats, Gaurav.
Yeah! Mage Slayer allows you to fight more competently, specifically against magic users. Magic Initiate, I don't think we should bother getting into. Martial Adept is not worth it. Medium Armor Master. Mobile boosts your walking speed by 10 feet. Well, it increases all of your speed by 10 feet. Observant adds a bonus to your wisdom perception, your passive scores. Polearm Master, not interesting. Resilient, not particularly interesting. Ritual Caster, maybe Ritual Caster. Basically, when you come across ritual spells, you can copy them into your spell book and cast them as need be. You can essentially learn them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a way to juice the number of spells that you have. Usually a ritual takes longer to cast. It's not something you cast in combat. It will be something like, I'm going to set up an alarm spell for this area, and I'm going to spend 10 minutes or 15 or 20 or half an hour or an hour, whatever it is, securing the area, and then that spell takes effect, and it lasts 8 hours or whatever it is.
Okay.
You don't necessarily get to pick those, but it's a way to gain access to a few more spells.
Okay.
Savage Attacker and Sentinel don't really apply here, neither does Sharpshooter or Shield Master. You could gain some additional skill proficiencies.
Okay.
Skulker doesn't really apply. Spell Sniper, you can double the range of a spell that you cast. They ignore half cover, and you learn a cantrip that requires an attack roll from any of the spell lists, and you can use that to cast that spell. So a common application of this is people pick Eldritch Blast or Eldritch Bolt, and they fire Eldritch Bolts at people. But it's a way to like cross out of the Druid spell list and get into some other things. Tavern Brawler doesn't really account. Tough would increase your hit points by a bunch. Warcaster is nice in that if you are concentrating on a spell and you get attacked, it improves the odds that you'll retain your spell. There's a main thing in D&D 5 is that you can only concentrate on one spell at a time if it has concentration. So let's say I have Stone Skin up, or I have a Spiritual Hammer going. I think Spiritual Hammer requires concentration. Anyway, if it requires concentration and then you take damage, you have to make a saving throw to keep that spell going. Otherwise, your concentration is disrupted and that spell drops.
Okay.
You can still cast other spells that don't require concentration while you're concentrating on that spell, but if your concentration drops, then that spell drops.
That drops. Okay.
Warcaster helps you, improves your odds that you're not going to drop that spell.
Okay.
So those are the kind of the highlights.
Okay.
You don't have to pick one right now, I don't think. True Mate recommends Warcaster and Lucky as great druid spells.
They seem good.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are definitely two that are prime choices in terms of where do you get a lot of bang for your buck out of that particular thing.
Okay.
So, that's where we're at. That
Okay.
gives you some options to think through.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of a little bit over time, I don't want to like pin you down unless you feel like you know what you want to do. But
I might look through Lucky Elemental, the Elemental one, and Warcaster definitely are the ones that stood out to me.
Yeah.
And I might look through them.
look through those before you decide whether you want to take an ability score increase or not, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's +2 to 1 score, or it's +1 to 2 different scores.
Yeah, and that could also be good.
Where do they even? It's such backhand knowledge that now I'm questioning myself, and I'm like, well, I better look it up. Ability score. Improvement. See specific class entries.
Wow.
The D&D index, I will say, yeah, you can increase 1 ability score of your choice by 2, or you can increase 2 ability scores of your choice by 1. So that's the other option for you.
Okay.
Is you could have an 18 whiz that would make your spells 1 point more difficult to resist. It would make attack rolls with your spells a further +1 to hit. So instead of a +3, you would have a +4 or whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, and likewise your dex, like I mentioned, that would bump your armor class. It would bump your initiative. It wouldn't necessarily bump your attack rolls.
Okay.
But all that being said, Lucky, Elemental Adept, Warcaster are also great options in terms of your 5th level character, picking your feats, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
All right. So that's... Now, the only other thing I will say is I have named this character Ava. I believe it was AVA is what I named it. But you can name the character whatever you want.
Okay.
And once she assumes her form, then she can kind of become fully, invested of her own personality, her own being.
Okay.
So, I think this is a great choice. I think it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
It has terrific integration with what we're doing currently in the game, and And I'm looking forward to see what we finalize.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll find that out tomorrow night.
I'm excited too.
General Fancy Pants thinks your character should be named Brunhilde.
Brunhilde. It's a good name. It's a good name. I've got some thoughts on mine. We'll see.
I'm already thinking of what kind of voice Brunhilde would have.
Right.
I'm sure it's nothing like what you're planning to do.
Brunhilde, yeah, definitely seems like something else to me.
So I just want to cover our two final topics here very briefly. Honestly, I don't have a ton to talk about with them. But if you are interested in following along with what we're going to be playing through over the next two-ish sessions, depends upon how long some of this introduction of Megan's character takes and whatnot, we're going to be playing an adventure called Stage Misdirections. It's an old Living Forgotten Realms 4E adventure. It was recommended by my friend Nate. And if you at home want to see what we've got, what I'm working with in terms of materials, you can Google it and pick up a link to it's Waterdeep, like 2-4 or something like that. Just look for Stage Misdirections, Living Forgotten Realms, and you'll find it. It's an old AE Adventures League adventure. And it was recommended to me because I was looking for adventures that have more of an investigative type of bent, kind of more, since we're in Waterdeep, let's follow the clues, let's get involved with figuring out a mystery, that sort of stuff. It's not very combat heavy, etc. And I think that we're going to have a good time playing it. There's a little bit of a challenge for me as the DM in terms of their skill challenges. All the stat blocks are 4E. It's really for level 1 through 4, and everybody's 5th level, if not a little more powerful, considering that they have artifacts and they're avatars of divine beings, all that sort of stuff. So obviously, I can't pick up a module without torquing it. That's my hamartia. As we learned in dramatic arts class, that's my hamartia, my fatal flaw. Oh. It's Greek.
We're so fancy.
Anyway, so if you want to have an idea of what's coming up ahead tomorrow night, you can download that, browse through it, etc. It's 47 pages, but a lot of that 47 pages just goes away because it's stat blocks and things that I probably won't use. I think there'll be some interesting intersections between stuff that's been established earlier in the campaign and what ends up popping up in this thing. So keep up with that. So then the final thing that I want to quickly cover is we're going to introduce a flashback reward into the lineup of things. So just to review for you, Megan, there's a couple different things that chat can put tips in the tip jar for. One is they can grant the party or individual people inspiration, right? And they can spend that whenever they want to get advantage on a roll.
Okay.
So that's nice. They can also donate, put tips in for these wonderful coins called bumps. Ooh. And you can spend these, you have to spend them ahead of time on a roll, but each one gives you a +1 on the roll, and you can spend up to 3, right? So it really turns into a +3 bonus on any roll that you decide to make. So whether it's a saving throw, an attack roll, the damage that you roll, whatever, you can spend bumps on that.
Okay.
You just can't spend them after the fact. So it's not a re-roll, it's after the fact. And then we introduced the concept last session, and it didn't really come into play, of having a flashback scene where the party can go, oh, we're going to do a flashback to a moment previous in our career or our experience that explains why we're prepared for or better at whatever the task is at hand.
Okay.
And so that would essentially be another type of advantage roll, but it comes in a different format, and it can exist on top of inspiration rolls and things like that, right? So it's going to be something Dom and I have to talk about what the donation level is, and it's only going to be probably once per session that they will have that available to activate. But it's another way, it's something different that everyone watching at home can decide to tip in for and influence the game. So we'll get the details nailed down, but that's the plan. You'll just have another thing that you can you can choose to activate in the game, and it kind of gives you a little bit more variety in terms of just loading up on bumps or just once. The thing about inspiration is once it gets out there, sometimes it just sits and they don't necessarily activate it. I mean, that can happen with any reward.
Sure.
So there's a certain amount of slop in every game, but yeah. So that's those are our topics for today. I'm looking forward to. I'm can't wait to have your character kind of like fully fleshed out.
Yeah.
I think this is a. I think it'll be a fun concept, and I want to invite you to create as much of Nasharla, Basharla, Shasharla, whatever it is, Kasharla, as much of that goddess's kind of aspect and portfolio and angle and bent. Like, feel free to make that your own, because it wasn't well defined in the adventure. It's not something that we've explored heavily, and I like to co-create as much as I possibly can.
Okay.
So especially because it's your character, make it something that you're invested in, rather than something that you feel like you have to keep asking the DM. Well, would I be able to do? Would I know this, or would she want me to do this, or whatever? Like, I don't want you to be asking me for permission on how to play your character.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Well, that brings us to the end of another Disorganized play. To see how all of this plays tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Pacific time, when Megan joins our cast of I was going to say hapless heroes. I don't know that they're hapless. They have two artifacts, and one of them is a doppelganger. By the way, Eric has a sword that can basically destroy any inanimate object. So he just blows stuff
Cool.
up.
So that means I can just like stand over here and let everybody else take care of everything, right?
I think you should stand next to him and activate your weird scourge wave of divine energy thing as much as possible.
I will.
That'll
will
make
keep that in mind.
me happy.
Wow.
So tonight, coming up is it at 8 o'clock? What's our calendar look like?
7:30 tonight,
7:30 tonight is Uncanny Valley. Yes. Thursday night, I'm assuming it's Never Tell Me the Odds. I haven't looked at the calendar. Yes, Never Tell Me the Odds is coming up Thursday night. Obviously, Thursday at 2 o'clock. I will be back here with Disorganized Play. Maybe Megan will be back to talk about her character. Maybe Dom will be sitting in and we'll talk about the game. Maybe both. I can't make any promises because I just said that was going to happen. And I didn't ask Megan at all whether she was even
he said
available.
it, so...
Yeah. No, gotta be up. So that's happening. So Thursday night is Never Tell Me the Odds. Friday at 11, you can catch our very own Dom Zook. Are you still playing Dark Souls?
I don't know yet.
He doesn't know. All right, so proficiency check at 11 o'clock on Friday with Dom.
Also tomorrow at 11.
Oh, also tomorrow. Oh, Wednesday at 11. All right, very good. Are you planning to play Dark Souls tomorrow? Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh, is it going to be like every week is a different video game? Or you just...
We'll see.
Oh, okay. All right. Dom doesn't have anything. Is it that you don't know, or are you being coy?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a surprise for Dom, too. I think, basically.
We'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
It could be Tetris. Who knows?
Tetris.
You can't put duck into Ductress. Welcome to Ductress.
You just did.
Wii U. Yeah.
That sounds like something else. Something else in Tetris to me.
Ductress.
Ductress.
Join us for Saving Throw After Dark when Dom plays Ductress. And then Friday night, of course.
Wild cards.
Now, Dom gave us a little teaser that there was a miniature hanging tree that's on the loose.
Oh, yeah, there is. Which, if you guys saw, it was the Dinner and Dragons episode, like, I don't know, 5 years ago at this point. I can't keep track of time. In which there was this hanging tree that grows these nooses and just hangs people as they come by. And it has shown back up in the actual universe of Wild Cards.
But it's just a shrub.
It's just a little tiny sapling, and seemingly it's hanging mostly squirrels right now. So
somehow that's more disturbing than hanging people. I don't know why that's the case.
Especially when those squirrels come back and then try to kill us, and almost actually did kill us. Squirrels, just straight up undead squirrels, nearly killed us. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes.
All right. All right. Does your character have any appalling moral choices or particular challenges that
Oh.
she's facing this week?
Probably. I mean, let's see. I think right now what we're dealing with is Grav, who has joined our cast. He's playing the consummate gentleman, frontier gentleman. Rosaline is a high-class escort and a blackmailer. So we're trying to, and figure out how they're going to work together. Also, she can kill the shit out of people with playing cards. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Nice.
And knives, whatever. She's a good person. She's a good person.
Quote unquote.
Greedy, but a good person. Yes, he's the consummate gentleman.
Yeah, that's right. Consummate V's. Consummate V's.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Also, Jordan Pridgeon's character is a con man, and he's the preacher of the town. Not really a preacher, if you have tuned in. But Howell, Grav's character, does not know that yet.
DJ Regular, are you going to Big Bad Con this weekend is my
Oh.
question. I, unfortunately, I have had to cancel my attendance at Big Bad Con. I went last year with my wife, and we loved it, and it's a terrific indie convention. If you are interested in playing really kind of, I have to say, a lot of the story games that have influenced things in my own D&D game or just have appealed to my interest, whether I back them on Kickstarter or play them outside of the stream or whatnot. But Dungeon World, Blades in the Dark, all those sort of story-oriented, I don't know, non-traditional, non-D&D style games, right? Those are all showcased heavily at Big Bad Con. It's a really great, interesting, alternative, and inclusive con. It's in Oakland. It's going to be this weekend. I don't remember which one it is. I was planning to go, and ultimately, my wife was out of town for a long weekend here over the holiday, or Friday and Monday, and I don't think she's going to be able to get Friday off. And driving 5 to 6 hours up to Oakland on Saturday to play 1 or 2 games, and then probably driving back Sunday at noon.
That sounds
it's just
tiring.
not quite. It's just not quite worth it.
Yeah.
I will definitely be at Gamehole Con. In fact, I was just working on a brand new tweak of Marvel Superheroes. I've got 12 people in my Marvel Superheroes game, and the biggest challenge in my mind is that I don't want person 1 to be bored while they're waiting for person 12 to go. Well, I think I have a solution for that.
Oh.
We'll see if it comes together. So yes, I will be at Gamehole Con, obviously with the caveat that if I were to book something here in LA, I would likely have to cancel depending upon what the date commitments were. But I'm planning to be at Gamehole Con. I also have to get my DM's workshop together.
Wow. That's a lot
I
of
feel
work.
like a late night host here. Let me just go through my cards. All right. So yes, I'm planning to be at Gamehole Con. I hope to see all or some of you there. Hey, DJ Regular, let me tell you, Games on Demand is a fantastic way to get into a game. If Colin is running his Tears and Kisses in the Rain as a Games on Demand game, go vote for that game and then play in that game, or play in that game and then vote for that game, because Tears and Kisses in the Rain was a fantastic, the best cyberpunk game I've ever played. We had a great session of it. Maybe your mileage may vary, but I keep hitting him up on Twitter like, when are we gonna see those rules? It's an apocalypse world based game, but the short sell on the whole thing is most cyberpunk games are about doing those black ops and hacking the ice and going on your mission, and the helicopter flies in and you're all on the headset and whatnot. His whole thing is, yes, you have cyberware or you have special abilities or you're a hacker or whatever it is, but you live in the crappiest part of town, and the mob has their thumb on you, and the man has their thumb on you, and the street has its thumb on you, and your whole thing is like, I just want to get out of town. I'm just trying to get out. Like he really takes the punk part of cyberpunk and plays it up to the hill.
That sounds
so
cool.
we had a really great game of that, and I'd love to play it on stream at some point, but the rules are still spooling forth from his brain. So go play Games on Demand if you haven't signed up for something specific. Also, I believe they still have slots open for Karen 12's session on improv for GMs. So it's going to be more of a physical kind of workshop, but it's definitely going to focus on improv exercises as they apply to GMing.
That's cool.
So check that out as well. So if you are planning to go to Big Bad Con, there's plenty of stuff to do and it should be super fun and pick up games and whatnot. If you're not planning to go, hey, maybe think about going next year. They do a Kickstarter every year that has the tickets on it and whatnot. And that's the buzz. So, well, Almost As Cool is here.
Mm-hmm. It's me. I'm the new player. Almost As Cool.
Yeah, we got somebody who is talented and interesting.
Unlike other people.
There were some dudes that we could have asked.
Yeah. But no.
None that
I
none
surpassed
that really
all
qualified.
of them. Especially one in particular.
All right. So thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for your donations and helping Megan unlock
Yes!
her new character.
Thank you for making me roll.
I have to say that was no small feat. There was like a lot of resistance. I asked her no less than 3 different times. Do you want to roll? Or do you want to take the standard? Or do you want to roll? She's like, I think I'll take the standard. Do you want to roll?
No, the array. I'll take that.
All right.
But no, you forced me to change.
Very good. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Flockwad and all of our mods who keep our channel safe, friendly, clean, and accessible. Thanks to all of our Patreon backers and everyone who supports the show, whether it's sharing it on social media or just doing fan art or whatever. Just being a fan, just watching.
Yeah.
Your eyeballs count.
They
believe
do.
it or not. And your chat comments definitely count too. I hope you'll join us tomorrow night. Until next time, let's dungeon!
Dungeon!
I should have told you.
No, it's all good. I think it's better that way.